Hi, in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about a patient who had a motor vehicle accident a couple years ago and lost some vision. Before I go into talking to you about the success story, let's tell you how you can connect with us. If you're local, call us at 618-288-1489. If you're not local, that's okay. Go to our website at visionforlifeworks.com. You can take a questionnaire. You can read some of our success stories or other information on the website, and you can also schedule a consultation. All right, so let's talk about motor vehicle accident versus vision and what happened for this particular young man. So unfortunately, he had a very serious accident in 2022 and he ended up being life flighted to the hospital. He had to be on a tube and a vent, and he was in a coma actually for quite a few days. So there was a lot of trauma. When he woke up from that accident and woke up from that coma, they found out that he also had some vision loss on one side. So he had what's called a homonymous hemianopsia, which those can occur on either the right side for both eyes or the left side for both eyes, depending upon what area of the brain was affected by the accident. So if, for instance, trauma occurs to the right side or right hemisphere of the brain, then the visual field loss will be on the left. If it occurs to the left side of the brain, then the visual field loss will be on the right side. So this young man had a pretty serious homonymous hemianopsia, which we'll show you next. And so this is his right eye, and this is his left eye. So if you look at these visual fields, you'll notice this area of dark all on one particular side, and it kind of corresponds, it's the same side for both eyes. So this was his first visual field. Time frame of this one was earlier in the year, this year, to show what his visual field tests look like. Now, he'd been through a lot of different types of treatments. They tried all kinds of things. Some of the things that they did: he had some functional neurology, he had some stem cell therapy, he had acupuncture, he did 8 months of therapy with another clinic somewhere else. He has been listening to different things like theta and beta waves that his mom played by his ear. He also has done some video computerized programs for tracking and finding letters and that kind of stuff. And let's see what else. He had some memory deficits. He had some problems with his leg and arm on one side. And then he has had some balance issues, some problems with memory, and of course we know about vision. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. He's gone through an awful lot. He also was put into prism glasses because of the visual field defect and problem. They wanted to try to shift over into the visual space so that he had a little bit of an extension of vision on the side where he had his vision loss. And relatively speaking, the prisms weren't helping as much. They wanted to try to actually recover vision and see what would happen. So now let's look back at the progression of visual fields as we've seen them in the last couple of months. So I'm going to show you the right eye and then the 3-month later test for the right eye. Let's make sure I have the correct one. No, I'm trying to pull the wrong, here we go. I'm trying to pull the wrong one. Okay, so this is right eye to right eye. And as you will see, this was the initial visual field test. If you look real carefully here and we zoom in, you can see an area of gray and oh, what's that? An area of white. That means that vision is returning on that side. If we look at the corresponding chart right next to this, there are some numbers that are associated with that, so we can actually see the progression of how sensitive his brain and visual pathway is becoming to seeing various stimulus in that particular area. So now let's look at the left eye, because we've seen the right eye first and then 3 months later. And let's look and see what we've got there. So left eye, this was initially earlier this year, and then 3 months later for that left eye, I'll show it on the same side so we can see. We've got vision returning here, And we have some vision that's returning right here, that little gray spot. Okay, that's 3 months later. What if that's a fluke? And what if that didn't really happen? What if who knows what, and it's just not accurate? So let's take a look at the next progression, which is a couple months later. Now we are in November. So we're going to compare the very first one to this last one. So we'll compare from April of this year to November of this year. So this is the right eye, and this is the right eye recently. So if you're able to see this, this is the area of vision recovery here and here. And so we're seeing a lot of change for that right eye. Well, let's take a peek. What about his left eye? Do we see a big progression for his left eye? Let's take a look. We do. This is the left eye back in April. This is the left eye here just in, what's the date? November 4th. So literally just a couple days ago. You can see that all of these areas right in here, there's vision recovering, and over in here. Even though you see like gray mottled dots, it's not fully black. So those are areas of vision recovering. I'm like the talking head behind the papers. All right, so what did we do with this particular patient in order to help him to recover vision from April to now? And even though this accident happened a couple of years ago. So what have we been doing to stimulate his brain to bring his vision back? Well, the biggest thing that we do is use these special filters, which lots of names are out there for these filters. They come in a lot of different colors. We've called them before syntonics, light therapy filters, neurological light stimulating filters. That's what I call them, because they're neurologically stimulating the brain in order to cause a specific effect. And in his particular instance, we want to heal the brain, and we want to heal the visual centers of his like vision processing so that he's able to see in his area of visual field loss again. And it seems to be working. So not only has he gone through phase 1, where all he did was use the syntonic filters, but now he's in phase 2, where he's working hands-on with a therapist who's also not only just having him continue with his filters, but he is now specifically triggering a lot of different areas and telling his brain to work better with his two eyes together binocularly, but we're also specifically triggering the area of his visual field loss so that his brain recognizes it's safe and okay to bring that vision back. Now, this again is a 25-year-old patient, if I did or didn't mention that before, but it's a young patient. And so one might say, well, he's young, of course he can bring his vision back. Maybe that's not the case for someone who's 65. Well, that's actually not true. This can happen for a patient at any age. We do work with patients in vision recovery who are young children. Unfortunately, sometimes we do have patients who are very, very young who lose their vision because of some sort of a trauma or maybe a brain tumor, and we work with them. And then we work with every age kind of in between into the elderly frame of age. There's really not an age range that you can't trigger the brain to be able to maybe recuperate some of the processes that it lost. As an example, if someone has a motor vehicle accident, or some sort of trauma, maybe like a stroke, maybe they had a brain tumor and they need to have that tumor removed, and the trauma was somewhat like the surgery. So whatever the case is, depending on what area of the brain this occurred in, if you start working with the patient right afterwards, if they have some sort of a defect, let's say that their defect is they lose the ability to use their right arm or right leg. Well, they usually will go into physical therapy and even maybe an occupational therapy. But oftentimes when it comes to vision, the doctors are just saying, like, let's just wait and see what happens. If the brain recovers it, the brain will recover it in 6 months. The downside to that is that we're losing crucial time. We'd never tell someone who can't use the right side of their body after a stroke or MVA or something else that happened, and all of a sudden they've lost, or they've really paralyzed, or they've had a loss of grip and strength on one side of the body. We'd never say, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see what happens. Let's give it 6 months and let's see if you can get better. We would never say that. We would immediately put them right into like PT, OT. And so it's frustrating on my end as a doctor when I know that our program works, we're helping our patients to be able to recuperate vision. And other doctors are kind of saying like, well, let's just wait and see what happens with your vision. Let's see if it comes back. We should be doing them, a similar type of therapy as far as like stimulating the brain for the body to be able to move again and to have its normalized function, as we are stimulating the brain to be able to recuperate and bring back vision that's been lost from some sort of accident or traumatic injury. So, well, as they say, the proof is sort of, make sure I got the same ones here. The proof is in the pudding. And we are having some awesome results with our patients, which is amazing, because we love to help our patients be able to get back to, kind of a normalized life and the things that they want to be doing, and helping to restore their confidence and their self-esteem, and getting them back to things like driving or working or going to school, and somewhat feeling like things are fairly normal or more normal for them again. So if this is interesting to you, and maybe it touches your heart because there's someone that maybe it's you or a loved one that has had some sort of traumatic injury and it's caused them to lose their vision, and you're wondering, could that be recuperated? Well, reach out to us. Our phone number is 618-288-1489 if you're local, but if you're not local, go to our website at visionforlifeworks.com, and you can connect with us there by scheduling a consultation so that we can talk with you directly about whether or not this can help. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you get notifications of all our videos. And as I always say, if you find that this is helpful, maybe it's not you, maybe it's not your family, maybe it's the neighbor across the street, pass it on to someone who could benefit from this. Thank you.